Welcome everyone. I'm Nikhil John, Senior Director Marketing at C5I, and I will be your host for today. Thank you for joining us for today's LinkedIn Live session on a fascinating topic, from code to creativity, the power of prompt engineering. This session follows up on our last C5I Compass Gen AI series event last month, where we discussed the explainability and interoperability of generative models. Today's session will explore how prompt engineering can drive powerful outcomes in an enterprise setting, showcasing real world use cases and scenarios. We will also look at its evolution over time and conclude with a brief but very impactful demo. Now, a little about us. For those of you who are new to what we do, C5I is a pure play AI and analytics provider that combines the power of human perspective with AI technology to deliver trustworthy intelligence. The company drives value through a comprehensive solution set, integrating multifunctional teams that have technical and business domain expertise with a robust suite of products, solutions, and services tailored for various horizontal and industry specific use cases. At the core, C5I's focus is to deliver business impact at speed and scale by driving adoption of AI assisted decision making. Now, turning to a few housekeeping items. A recording will be available on our LinkedIn event page for those of you who have registered for the live. We will send a webinar recording and a post-webinar summary highlighting all the key takeaways as well. We have kept the last 15 minutes dedicated for Q&A, so we urge all of you to ask questions at any time using the comment section. In addition, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach us at scalewithgenai@c5i.ai. Now, coming to what we've been waiting for, the introduction of our speakers. Our first speaker is Ajay Cyril. Ajay is a hands-on AI practitioner and global winner in coding category at the Global Prompt Engineering Championship 2024 held recently in Dubai. He is an experienced product leader with over 10 plus years of global product management experience in creation, launch, and scaling of global products in AI, IoT, and cloud SaaS platforms. He currently leads product for IoT at EN Enterprise, including nationwide programs for the UAE government, and is based in Dubai. Prior to this, he has led product management at Airtel Digital, Tata Communications IoT, and Tata Sons. Ajay is a TAS alumni and has completed his MBA from IIM Kozhikode. Hi Ajay, welcome.
Hey, Nikhil, good to connect. Good evening. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Likewise. Now to introduce our second speaker, Anis Merchant. Anis leads the global innovation, IP, and analytics consulting business at C5I. He has guided sizable digital transformation initiatives for numerous global Fortune 500 clients across various industries. Anis's current role chiefly involves guiding platform innovation, setting the go-to-market strategy, and building the strategic partner ecosystem. Hi Anis, welcome.
Thanks, Nikhil, for
Yes.
introducing. And Ajay, glad to connect on this platform. And thank you for taking time out from your busy schedule to being on this LinkedIn Live.
Pleasure is all mine, Anis. Good to connect.
Now,
Perfect.
before we got started, Nikhil, I just want to kind of ask Ajay a question. How did it feel to compete in that prompt engineering coding, the contest which happened?
So a lot of fun, and from the very first moment, I felt I didn't belong there. Right, as we discussed, I'm a business guy. I've never coded hands-on. I've seen. I mean, I've led teams with incredibly talented developers who are deep subject matter experts. So the very fact that I was selected in the top 10 itself was a victory for me. So I was there to learn. I was there to see what the best in class is, what the latest innovations are. So my whole outlook was let's play along, let's learn and have some fun along the way, and that was it. And fortunately, as it turns out, some of the code worked, and it ended up in me winning. So yes, it was an absolute pleasure being at the event and also connecting with very talented people from around the world.
Very interesting. Nikhil, over to you.
Thank you. And that is wonderful to know. I still remember Anis's introduction, Ajay, of the magic that you had produced at the event. So, we were all in awe before we started this conversation. So, without much ado, let's dive straight into the session. Anis, over to you and Ajay, and I'll be back soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nikhil.
All right, Ajay. So you spoke about the event and you spoke about what happened. You got selected in top 10. You pressed on a very interesting point that you're a business person. You're not a coder, and you
Yes.
won a coding challenge.
Right.
Uh, and the topic for today is prompt engineering,
Right.
right? Big two words, right? Which has become a big buzzword. I can tell you that whenever I see certain stats, prompt engineers are being hired for $300,000, $400,000. You know,
Right.
next big job opportunity for people, right? Since you won, and I would deem you as an expert in this space, and you are a business guy. Correct me if I'm
Right.
wrong. You're not an engineering background, or you've done engineering, but in a different way. But and
Not the
I'm a
typical
business.
Indian engineer who does an MBA afterwards. It's the same. It's the same story.
I'm a business guy. I'm a finance graduate, uh, done my MBA, and I'm in the AI IT space, right?
Right.
Now, I'm sure there are a lot of interesting individuals from various backgrounds listening to this and will listen to
Right.
this as it gets recorded. I
Right.
believe anything you record in digital space never goes waste or never loses.
Right.
Can you help for everyone? What is prompt engineering?
Okay. Okay. I mean, before the event, I also looked up the exact same question, right? What is prompt engineering? What does it really mean? What are the best practices, etc.? So, and now when I tell people about prompt engineering, I essentially see it as just getting an AI to do what you want it to do, right? It could be at a personal level, you could be a creative person, an artist, or it could be in a corporate setting where you want, the type of outcome, the type of analytics, the type of data crunching you wanted to do. But prompt engineering is essentially just a way of interacting with AI, and this is why I don't. I mean, even in our previous discussion, I was highlighting calling it engineering itself is a stretch, right? Because the way it evolved is when LLMs first came out, uh, LLMs were severely constrained. They had peculiarities. There were ways to interact with the AI to get the type of output you want. So the early practitioners, I mean, in the greater interest of everyone, put together a set of best practices. That's, hey, if you write XYZ to an LLM, it will behave this way. But what is happening is, because AI as a space, and especially generative AI and LLMs, are evolving so fast, the field of prompt engineering is evolving super fast as well. So, for example, the event happened, the prompt engineering championship happened about 3 months ago, and I see things I built, things that were given as challenges to us 3 months back, is probably a minute's job now, right? And I'll probably give you a quick demo of how that is. So, prompt engineering, I believe, is just dealing with AI, talking to AI, but the field itself, something is evolving so fast. So if you read a blog from 6 months ago, maybe that's not no longer relevant today. So it is becoming redundant so fast. So prompt engineering is just best practices in interacting with AI and staying connected with a network of experts who are on the cutting edge of the AI. So the next model tomorrow could probably supersede everything else that exists today, and all the prompt engineering courses, etc., that have been built up today may be completely irrelevant tomorrow. So there is no such thing as prompt engineering. It's just interacting with an AI and knowing what you want to get out of it, and that's pretty much how would I define it, Anis.
No, some amazing perspectives, Ajay, and I'll
Yeah.
just share my thoughts on this.
Yeah.
I think I'm for it and I'm against the word, the
Right.
engineering aspect, right?
Right.
For it is because, to your point, today as LLMs get more sophisticated, and today there is no only large language models, there is
Right.
tiny language models, there is SLMs,
Totally.
there is many different types of language models which are
Right.
now coming to play. And more importantly, there are interplays and like we spoke couple of weeks back in this same series, interoperability. When it comes
Yes.
to AI, you have interoperability in LLMs and large language
Right.
models also.
Right.
So point is that you need to put a constructive hat on rather than an engineering hat on. Like, how would you
Right.
construct, and what the
Right.
intent or what surprises you should expect as an
Right.
output. So, the classic IPO, input, process, output. Or I love, and I call this individual my teacher, Elihu Goldratt. His
Right.
book, The Whole, has taught me a lot. The theory of constraints. I
Right.
preach that every day.
Right.
So when I look at TOCs, I look at, okay, what are the constraints can I define in my prompt as an example, which can help
Right.
me get those right outputs, so that the language model is giving me the right output which I want to. So I'm
Right.
for it, but engineering is, like you said, stretching it a little bit. I'm
Right.
against it because it has deterred many people away from it,
Right.
right?
That's fair
Really
enough.
experiment
Yes.
with it. Like you said, when I started off, I was scared. I
Right.
would put one line, or short. It's called. There are certain types of prompts, right? So I would just do a short code, or the just one line prompt, right? I was
Right.
scared to give more
Right.
information because I thought, oh, I need to learn it to define
Right.
it. Or
Right.
today I've become so comfortable because I've kind of taken a step back, and it's input, process, output, right? But I just
Right.
need to define the input, I need to
Right.
define its processing, and what the output is. Now, somebody may argue this is engineering. For
Right.
me, it's basic classic process management, right? You're,
Right.
like you said, you're
Right.
having, like you and I are having conversation. It's having a
Yes.
conversation not with a human being, but with AI. You have any
Absolutely.
thoughts on this, what I've just said?
No, so completely agree, Anis, right? But there is also one additional perspective I wanted to add. Eventually, even during the competition, we had three categories: art, coding, and literature. Eventually, as it turns out, the people, it were not the generic AI experts who came out on top. It were people who were really good at their domain, and who were using AI as a tool to sort of get the output they want. So it wasn't. Now I see a lot of complaints online recently saying generative AI is a hype bubble, etc., and it's not magically made our lives better, right? But that is never the point. The point is, if I am a developer and I'm writing code and I'm writing 1,000 lines of code, maybe generative AI is writing like 800 lines of it, so that I can do the critical thinking on the remaining 200 lines or the 20 lines, right? So it is freeing us up to do a higher quality of work, right? This is how I see it. So when an artist, so maybe lay people like us, we try to generate an image or try to create a video, it may not be as great as someone who's creative, someone who's a video producer who knows what it takes to write a compelling movie script. He may use the same tool and come out with a better output. So it is important to see generative AI not as a panacea, not as a end all of it will solve everything, but as just another tool to help us make our lives better. So I see subject matter experts continuing, in fact, them getting more empowered, more efficient. And I see a lot of people who are just doing simpler tasks will be empowered to do much more. And this is how I see generative AI panning out.
No, just building on what you just said, two
Yeah.
points. Gen AI is one of the Lego pieces which have been missing, and you
Right.
probably add on to it. Now, there may be
Right.
many more which have not yet been released, or may not
Right.
be available, may come in the future. You and I, if wish we had crystal ball, we could have invested our money in those amazing startups which will build something like what OpenAI did.
Right.
But we don't have those crystal balls, or we are
Right.
not that smart enough. At least I'm not that smart enough to predict what's going to come in the future. But that's one aspect. The second aspect, to your point, that I saw a recent chart which I'm for it and I'm against it.
Right.
It's by one of the most prominent analyst community, which has said generative AI is only good for content generation and conversational piece.
Right. Right.
It's missing the piece of many other things, like you said, the augmentation of
Right.
tasks or
Right.
activity, like code writing, code
Right.
review, code
Right.
management. Okay, basic
Right.
data descriptive analysis. I'm not saying today Gen AI can do forecasting models on its own,
Right.
but can I throw in a piece, like, can I, and I've done that, I've done my
Right.
trial, I've
Right.
thrown my spending data,
Right.
okay, for 1 month, and I
Right.
asked, Can you
Yeah.
do an analysis where I'm losing my money, where I'm
Right.
gaining my money, and what are the
Right.
smart strategies I should be doing? It gave me
Right.
some descriptive insights. It didn't
Right.
go ahead and took some intelligent on me and did that. It just looked at so it can do
Right.
that. So it's
Right.
not just good enough for content generation today, as an
Right.
example,
Right.
or just for conversational bot. It can do far more, but you need to really think about, like you said, it's one of the tools in many of the other tools combined, which can make
Absolutely.
it powerful.
Right, right. So, I mean, one more perspective here. So in especially when it comes to the product space, Anis, in the last say 5 years, right, we had a sort of a ZERP era, right, zero interest. So we had essentially in a business setting, we had the commercial team, the P&L team, the sales, pre-sales, who's getting the money in, and then we have the builders at the bottom, who are the coders, etc., the engineering team building stuff, and then you had a layer in the middle. This is the layer that Zuckerberg hates at Meta, right? The middle management, right? These guys take specifications and give it to the engineers, right? So I see increasingly the top two layers converging, right? We don't really need people in the middle to interpret business requirements and give it to the engineers, right? Now, increasingly, I tell all young product managers, hey, start doing stuff on your own. Either deliver revenues. I mean, for example, generative AI can be used to create marketing assets. So stop relying on agencies or your marketing team to do everything for you. Start playing around, start experimenting, or start building stuff, right? So increasingly, the responsibility shifts in an organization from just being, hey, I am the product manager for optimizing a button. I've seen product managers like this, but no longer. Hey, optimize this product, build something great, or get amazing results from business. Don't be in the middle management. I think increasingly generative AI is squeezing this middle management layer, is what I see globally as well.
Yeah, it's in fact building on what you just said. It's merging or overlapping roles. For
Yeah.
example, which probably you had said individuals or roles or boundaries or Chinese walls in an
Right.
organization. Like today, you being a product head in the role
Yes.
which you are in, you can develop an app.
Yes.
You can take the code of what your developers are doing and challenge them. Hey, you've written in an incorrect code, right?
Right. Right.
Prior to this, I don't think so it was possible, or you had to really spend time. Like, I was talking to somebody in the morning today, my
Yeah.
morning, and we were discussing. Ironically, he was discussing about the role of product management and how can he
Right.
build a career. And he
Right.
was talking about, should I go and learn Python, because
Right.
this difficulty he is facing
Right.
of understanding Python. And I said, do you really want to learn programming? Because you have the domain, you have the
Right.
programming, you have an
Right.
assistant today. If you
Right.
write a code and it
Right.
can generate codes for you, do you really need that? he
Right.
started he took a step back and he started thinking, no, the answer is no, right?
Right. Right.
So
So increasingly, I think it becomes outcome driven,
yeah,
as it should have always been, right? So to your example, Anis, when you built up a quick analysis of your spend in a business setting, traditionally you would probably need a business analyst team, and you will give them a set of data. I have this data coming in, run some ML models, and then deploy it, and it's like a 2 week to a month cycle before you see outcome, whether you justify this efforts or not. Today you could just put this data in a locally hosted LLM, which is safe, and spit it up yourselves. And the advantage is the efficiency. Hey, this works and this doesn't work, and then you can go to the SMEs and say, hey, now optimize this, or this works. Even in the marketing so I use it a lot, especially in the marketing context, right? Because creative variance, you never know what customers are liking, right? I could have a color change and customers, the click-throughs go through the roof, right? So these minor tinkering, because marketing is essentially experimentation and then finding what lands, I can do myself, right? I don't need to have a 1 month loop with the agency to recreate assets. I can try different things out. I can try a different script, a different creative, and it's the efficiency that generative AI is adding that I think is the biggest value add that I see so far, in its adoption in industry.
yeah. And one of the misconception is that generative AI is only when it is generating something,
Right.
like text. That's the misconception. But today, with models being multimodal, you
Right.
can do combination of text, image, videos, all of that together, and at
Right.
the same time, it can decipher or it can intersect or read all three types of data and give you that analysis. So it's both
Right.
ways, right?
Right. Yeah.
Talking about examples, I recently posted something on LinkedIn where I have used LLMs or used language models to automate many
Right.
things in my life. Like I
Right.
have a personal CMO today, as an
Right.
example.
Right.
Like to the point, if I had to get a personal CMO or a personal CFO, I would have had to spend money on it.
Right.
But
Right.
given
Absolutely.
enough intelligence, given enough input to the language model, the local language model, which when I say
Yeah.
local, it's installed on my personal computer,
Right.
it's spitting out information. To your point, my creative mind would have never thought about that,
Right.
right?
Right.
So it widens my horizon. It allows me to get away from the mundane tasks, which I may will still have to continue to do it. And
Right.
we all have discussed, right? This is not a mystery. All our jobs, if you evaluate, 20% or 30% is the key which really makes the differentiation in our companies, in our as entrepreneurs or as startup founders, or whatever the role we are, right? 20 to
Right.
30%. The 70 and
Right.
80% mundane.
Right.
Now,
Absolutely.
people are going to get scared that it can be automated. Probably the answer is yes, right?
Yes.
When I say
Yes.
automate, now I'm not saying everything is Gen AI automation. It can
Right.
be all type automation, but it can be
Right.
automated. You really start
Right.
putting a thinking hat on.
Right.
So yeah, I think to your point, it's disruptive, but used
Yes.
cautiously and ethically.
Absolutely. So, I mean, when you brought up multimodal, there's a saying which says every time OpenAI brings out a new version of ChatGPT, 100 startups die because people are solving for things that probably the next version of AI will just kill. So there were a bunch of voice startups which happened in the last year, and then all the large language models brought out voice, and suddenly all of them, I don't know, are struggling for business. So I think it's important in the business context to also see where this is going, right? I saw a lot of doubters, when Midjourney was in its early version and AI was creating this, they call it uncanny valley, where it's AI, right? You know that this is not right, this image that is generated, and people were saying this is not ready. And the doubters now are saying, hey, okay, it's generating realistic video, but can it do whole movies? So it's, if you just look at the evolution of Gen AI, that's next, right? So you shouldn't, and I mean, it will be foolish to question that, right? And this is what I see. So what's next? I see build your own movies. I see build your own journey type video games where assets are dynamically created. It's not a crazy extrapolation to see this happening, right? So for all the builders out there, for all the startup founders, it is important to see where the technology is evolving, and you also see increasingly it becoming efficient. Anish, like you mentioned, small language models have come out, which are not using up as many H100s from NVIDIA as the big guys needed, right? And they're also specialized now. There's a maths focused GPT, there's a science focused GPT. So increasingly it's becoming cheaper, more efficient, and is also getting better at solving problems. So I see it as one of the defining mega trends of our times. There is a lot of, I mean, whenever people hype something up, someone had commented on one of my LinkedIn posts who said, just because something is hyped doesn't mean it's not useful, right? So it is hyped. Yes, we are in a hype bubble, but it's definitely, I see a lot of value being added. GitHub Copilot, I think, had some stat which said like 50 to 60% of code now written on GitHub is through Copilot, right? So the good developers are getting better, more efficient, and are churning out better code.
Yep.
So it's important to stay up to speed, important to adapt, and play with the latest tools that we have at our disposal.
No, and just talking about that last point, play with the
Yes.
latest. For everyone who's listening in and will listen in, it's also shifting all of us from being consumers or users to being builders and creators.
Right.
Uh, and that's a big shift. Personal example, you spoke about movie making. We recently had an offsite. I built an anthem for C5I
I see. Okay. Right.
with video, with
Right.
music, and with
Right.
lyrics.
Right.
Okay, all three
Right.
combined, and we all loved it. Now we are
Right.
saying, okay, how can we evolve it and make it part of our company values and enhance it further? But the
Right.
first version was really compelling. The
Right.
second is, I'll give you my own example, is I have built an entire habit tracking app, like how you build a weather app, on
Right.
my own, because
Right.
I tried many different habit tracking apps. It didn't work.
Right.
I built my own
Right.
within 45 minutes.
Right. Right.
Okay. I would have
Right.
had to pay somebody millions of rupees or dollars to get this done,
Right.
or paid subscription fees of $200 $300 every year.
Right.
And I got
Right.
it done, customized to my need.
Right.
So it is disruptive.
Right.
Uh, and on that point, we've been talking about these examples, and we can
Yes.
continue, right?
Yes.
Uh, Ajay, I want to put you on spot. Do you have
Okay.
some things up your sleeve you want to share with the
Oh,
audience of
yeah,
demos?
absolutely. Let me, actually, there was a very simple app, right? I just wanted to see if this comes up. This is, yeah, is my screen visible?
Not yet. Now it is,
Uh,
yes.
It is, right. So, I mean, I saw this app, right? I saw, and this is a Pomodoro app. Essentially, it is
Mhm.
25 minutes of focused work, and 5 minutes of break, and then so it's a way to just manage your efficiency, right? So, I saw this app online, and this is similar to one of the challenges that similar to building a weather app, etc. Right now, 3 months ago, to build something like this would need like 3 or 4 lines of prompting, right? You would tell it that, hey, I needed to count down from 25. So the AI does not know, so you need to say, hey, restart means this, next means this, there are sort of sessions. So this is a production ready app, and I took a snapshot just from this company's website, right? But now I was thinking, where can I push prompt engineering? So I in Claude, I said, hey, here's a snapshot. I'm giving no description at all. I said, hey, create an artifact with functionality that's similar to what you see in the image, right? No description at all. And then what Claude does is, here it creates an entire React component. From the image, it understands what this app is for, what the functionality could be, what the button should do, and it creates it generates the entire code which is ready to use, and then now you can customize. But in Claude, there is something called artifacts where you can actually run it. So now, when with just one image and a single line of prompting, it's not even a prompt, I'm just saying, hey, build this, it actually built the entire timer. It knows its countdown, it figured out it's 25 minutes. I can do it went to the next lap. I can start it, restart it. So all of these functions without any prompting, AI can now build. So this is one example of I mean, what I was mentioning. 3 months ago, this wasn't possible, but today, by just giving an app, just giving an image, it built this, right? So the message is actually for all there are several people who claim they have ideas, but no one to build it for them, right? There are a lot of people who want to build something on the side, solopreneurs who want to build a small app. I think building your own proof of concept to get an early validation from the market today is remarkably easy. So there is no excuse for you not to try that little crazy idea of an app that you have and put it out in the market. So this was one quick example, Anis, of what I wanted to share. That today you don't even need prompting. So calling it prompt engineering, again, stretch. Here's an image, build it. Here's the code, run it. Right. That's all it takes. So this was one example of what's possible today.
No, I hope that company doesn't sue both of us.
It's just an example. I mean,
Yeah,
it's possible
but
for everyone. You could put an Uber snapshot and you could build a clone tomorrow.
yeah,
Everyone's open to be disrupted.
no, and while these are all interesting and enough examples, but when you put in the corporate hat on,
Yes.
and when you put an enterprise hat on, you
Right.
work for one of the largest tech company, I would say, in
Yes.
MENA region and worldwide,
Yes.
right, which has been transforming itself from being a telecom to a tech company.
Absolutely.
you know what will be your advice be to companies and entrepreneurs and executives who are either trying to serve corporates or working within the corporates? How do they use prompts, I would say prompt construction rather than prompt engineering, to
Right.
test ideas, to validate ideas, to do the
Right.
analysis in the confinement of legality, ethical, uh, governance, and all the privacy laws which exist within the company and by the
Right.
sovereign states and countries? How do you
Right.
help define that?
Yeah. So I mean, I work with several companies to get them to adapt AI, right? The biggest thing I tell them is there is a big difference between consumer and enterprise, right? So all technologies start like this, where the consumers pick it up, play it, but there's a huge transition time for an enterprise to pick it up, and rightfully so. There's a story where I think early in the early stages of GPT, a bunch of Samsung engineers, in order to
Yeah.
simplify their life, uploaded a bunch of their FAQs, and now it's the model trained itself on it, and the entire world today gets responses from ChatGPT based on Samsung's confidential document. So in corporates is especially important for the decision makers to make the tools available to the employees, right? Everyone knows ChatGPT is out there. It can make your life easier, optimized, but it's important to make these tools available as soon as possible. So here comes the concept of things like ML ops. All of this comes in. You need There is a tool. It makes your employees more efficient, but have you made it available to them in a safe way so that they don't take your confidential data and go outside and put it into ChatGPT or some other unauthorized LLM, and it trains itself on it? So I think in the corporate setting, there are two key things I emphasize on. One, ensure data confidentiality. It's up to the tech teams to make the tools available, whether it's locally hosted, whether it's RAG type models where it's on your cloud, but how this model works, what it's trained on. So it's very important for corporates to seek help and get the right way of implementing AI, right? So that's
Hmm.
one. Second thing I see is, you mentioned decision support systems or decision making models. So actually, transparency of a model is very important to understand, because I have products where a certain customer is eligible based on some parameters like credit rating, etc., and some customers are not. Now, these are simple rules that we know this is the reason the customer is rejected. But tomorrow, if you train a LLM on it, or a AI model on it, and you do not know the reason why a certain decision is taken to serve X pricing to this customer and Y pricing to another customer, it could be AI, but here comes the blurring of boundaries on legality, ethics, etc. So it's very important again to work with leaders like C5AI, other partners who will really demystify AI to you. And opacity is something that enterprises cannot have. You need to really know, even though it is an LLM, how it works, the reason for it, is it following your rules, guardrails, etc., in order to really make it useful in an enterprise context. So I see it is optimized at a consumer level right now. There is some work to be done for it to be enterprise ready, and I think that's where companies like C5I, other companies are really helping the larger enterprise sector adapt AI.
Yeah, no, it's a word of caution. Don't put any enterprise PII confidential data. And if you
Right,
don't know, ask before you do it. This is
right,
not the case. Do it and apologize later.
right,
It will be a severe offense if you do that.
right, right,
Better to be careful when you put out there. But like
right,
you said, today when we see many enterprises and many clients, like they have enabled, they have looked at variety of these language models and they've said you're free to use for your personal use. You're free to use to experiment, but do not experiment with company assets, data, or any of them which can put
right,
company at risk.
right,
And there are companies who are more mature who've created their own ecosystems to
right,
enable for the users to play around with their own
right,
assets, their own data. So there are
right,
ways to go around this, but like you said, err with caution before you go ahead and take a step which can be
right.
costly for
Actually,
you
it
and for
is. Yeah, it is important to whenever I talk about AI, actually, especially to young kids who see it as some sort of a magical tool, or where it understands it. So if you saw that character.ai, people are in love with bots, right? They have a friend to talk to, a therapist to explain issues. But the naysayers say, they call it stochastic parrots, right? It's just statistics and words behind it, right? So it is important to remember what generative AI is, right? It is a prediction model, right? It's just statistically, it has combed through the entire internet, probably every book ever written, every paper ever published, and statistically generating a response, right? There is no reasoning, there is no empathy, and it is important to understand that this is how it was built up. And even though the outcome may seem like it's a understanding friend, it's just statistics at the back of it, right? So what it's useful for now is pattern recognition, right? It knows that language works like this. After I say I, probably am is the statistical word. So it understands languages well, text well, code well, and now it's evolving to other static patterns, right? Music, video, etc. But in a lot of complex enterprise setting, probably generative AI is not the answer, and we should be open to that possibility as well. Traditional ML models, predictive models, all of them continue to remain important, and and you should continue. So we shouldn't chase a buzzword for the sake of it. Understand the tool, and there are use cases where experts like yourself can guide them, but doesn't mean that it's a solution to all enterprise problems. I think 80-90% of enterprise use cases are still just pure play analytics.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
and thank you for calling me an expert. I still find myself as a student in this
Right.
entire. I continue to learn. I continue to experiment. Since the audience is listening in and they're still quiet, I would prompt that if you have any questions for Ajay, please come in. Y'all can look up Ajay. He won the only prompt engineering conference or event which happened in Dubai, which he won. So y'all can pick his brains. If y'all are still inquisitive or still puzzled, how can you use generative AI in your day-to-day life? But Ajay, just a very different thought altogether, right? Now today, like you said, and we discussed earlier, that generative AI is not enough. How do individuals and companies, most importantly, think about bringing in generative AI and this larger prompt engineering along with what they're doing? Let's say a
Right.
coder who's
Right.
coding something very critical. How would
Right.
they, where would they introduce generative AI as part of the process?
Okay, so there is essentially two approaches to it, right? So there is a niche approach where you see a point problem, like you said, hey, I'm an engineering leader and I want to make my developers work better, right? And you generate a point solution which saying here is a GitHub Copilot. It will help you write more lines of code, in a more accurate way, less errors, and that's what you solve for. But I think the right way to do it, and this is a point problem solves a point solution, is a more traditional data engineering sort of way, right? So when I talk to large companies, they say, okay, let's do AI. And when we look at their data pipelines or even basics, right? Hey, are you pulling in all your data from all the sources? Are they all coming into a data lake? Are you processing it? Is this efficient? So I think the basics of analytics, the traditional analytics, data engineering, pipelines, all of that remain. So my advice to enterprises has always been, forget Gen AI. Can you solve your basic data infrastructure? Can can your data pipes flow smoothly? Are they updated regularly? Start with some basic ML models from an enterprise context, and then see if you can pepper some generative AI on top of it. Right? You cannot sort of without a robust backend trying to just parachute in Gen AI. I've not seen it works very well. It works for an initial few months, but then the value peters out because the actual value of the company resides in the tons of data it creates. It's especially relevant in IoT, right? Because I am in IoT. All these sensors are generating tons of data, right? Now, how do I use generative AI here? It's not really useful for me as a IoT company unless I can pull out all this data, process it, make it ready for a generative AI to come and make sense of it. So to enterprises, I always say, data first, fix data, AI later. Right? AI is the sort of the last step of your data journey. So this is how I see enterprises and take up AI. Anis, don't solve for Gen AI. Solve your data infrastructure first. And I'm sure in C5I, as you consult, this is the same sort of advice you give as well, right? It's not
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah, but one of the things which we also recommend is don't go on a data hoarding exercise or a never-ending story of data. You
Right.
know, you build data stores which are built for purpose,
Right.
rather than building it, a data hoarding exercise where you're trying to get all organization data right.
Right.
We are fortunate enough to work with some of the biggest brands in the world,
Right.
uh, across the globe, and to be candid, I've never seen any company having bad data. Meaning everybody has bad data. To
Right.
be candid.
Right.
you know
Right.
I don't want to take names, but the biggest and the boldest also have bad data, right?
Right.
Many of
Right.
them are still dealing with Excel files and
Right.
still
Right.
working on Excel. Okay,
Right.
so
Right.
you will never get 100% quality of data. You would never have 100% data right. But at the
Right.
same time, you can use these technologies to experiment, quickly iterate. Like, I while you were speaking, I'll just give an example as we speak, because you shared an example. I was talking about this a- app which I built, uh,
Yes.
right? So this is a simple habit tracking app, as an
Right.
example. Okay, and this platform is available free of cost to everybody if you all want to experiment and build an app. I just did this. Right now, I'm not going to show my real app because that's proprietary to me, but I just build different categories of, let's say, and this is a recursive prompt where I
Right.
can keep proving this. Uh, Let me just type. And what it does is, as I start using it, it
Right.
starts helping me develop this
Right.
websim.ai exist.
Right.
It's not working out well, but right now, I would just say, if anybody wants to look at what are the different applications which are there, you can just
Right.
see what people are building.
Yes, absolutely. And Ani, so this is, I mean, nothing stops you from tomorrow just making it an actual product and putting it out in the world. Let
Yes,
customers use it
yes,
and
absolutely.
give you feedback. Yeah. So this is what I'm saying. A lot of people have told me, hey, I have this killer app idea, but how do I build it? Build it. Like you built it, right? You can just put it out in the store, get honest feedback. I was trying to, in fact, yesterday I was actually trying to build some trading algorithms using Gen AI. I was like, hey, can I write some Python code to do some strategies, some option strategies, and it works. Right? Previously, I would think algorithmic trading is something in the domain of a very deep finance expert, but today I can generate code, understand some basic things, and get it to run. So I think the applications are all out there. It's all about being hands-on, building your own things, and seeing where it goes.
It's definitely not a full story. Like, if you
Yeah.
don't have basic domain
Right.
of how to read a Python code, you
Right.
can be landing into trouble, as an example,
Right.
right?
Right.
If you install
Right.
that code directly in a production system.
Right.
But you need to appreciate what you're asking for as an
Right.
output, so that you can also tweak. Because I often see, like, what we saw as an error coming up. Now, how do I
Right.
decode that error?
Yes.
What's happening?
Exactly.
What am I
Right.
doing?
Right.
Okay. Now, if we had more time, I would have gone deeper and had shown that. But
Right.
going back to your point, what you said, the sky is the limit. Go ahead and
Right.
build it and do it the right way. I think,
Right.
Ajay, we are almost on time, and I'd like to get Nikhil back. But I really want to thank you for your valuable
Thank you
time.
so
This
much.
is
It was
definitely
a wonderful discussion, really stimulating. Wonderful to connect with you.
likewise, likewise.
I feel very bad to be the person who calls time on a very interesting discussion. So, thank you, Ajay and Anis, for a really insightful session. To be honest, my mind was racing backstage with all the possibilities. The way I see it is, prompt engineering is like an AI powered GPS that evolves with new routes and features. Just as the GPS adapts to changing roads, prompt engineering is rapidly evolving. And like you all were talking about new terms that are being coined for it and use cases that are emerging, staying updated with these trends also ensures that your prompts guide AI to the most precise and effective results. So, thank you. And thank you everyone for joining us today and staying till the end. I hope you learned something new. We will be emailing you a recording of this webinar for your reference. And with that said, do feel free to reach us for any questions. You can write to us at scalewithgenai@cfi.ai. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if you all want to connect with Ajay, he's very prominent on LinkedIn. So do connect with him.
Pleasure.